2007 Toyota Sienna, guys. So I'm going to show you how I changed the steering rack. Step one, make sure the steering wheel is not moving or doesn't turn or move on you. That's how I lock it in place. Step two, try to get all the linkage that goes to the steering rack itself. Right here it has a little cover so none of the dirt gets into the cab itself. Just pop it straight forward. Alright, and then you can see some mud, so it's going to be a nice clean job. So you can see how the mud and everything's packed, so we're going to have to take care of that first. So round one, washing it off, because if not, all that stuff's going to land on your face and just inconvenient. And here, doing it on a lift like this, kind of inconvenient, but it kind of shows you that you could do this on the ground. So I raced it there, and then I put some jack stands so I could have the lift out of the way. So now let's just remove the tire to gain access to the pinch bolt right there that holds the little collar onto the steering rack itself. And right here I just mark the orientation, so I try to put it the same way I took it off. Granted, the bottom one's not going to match because it's going to be a new steering rack, but I at least have the orientation of how I want it. Then round two, you got to get it as long as possible. There you go. Then the baby didn't want to come off. It's in 07, so it's a little rusted. I'm prying on that baby, and it's not coming. So finally found a way. I get underneath it and try to spread the collar like that. Eventually I get it to give way. It's all about angles, guys. There you go. Nice and clean how it was. So then right here, I'm going to loosen up the stuff for the sway bar on both sides. I made it round three because right here I have not much room, no clearance for that bolt right there. So now to remove the lines here, after you get that bolt out, we go for the lines. You have a one that requires your pliers to get those loose and get it out, and then the other one, it's an 18 millimeter. How to use a crow's foot for that one. It's a bit of a struggle, but we get it done. Yep. And going after the hoses. Then these hoses have these retainers. They're 12 millimeters. They have it on the right side, and if you follow that whole line all the way to the other side, they have the other one right above over there. Trying to get as best shots as possible, guys, to give you the access on them. And there it is, yep. Alright, 17 on one side, and a 4-inch extension with a 19 to get those steering rack bolts. Oh yeah, and I forgot, you're gonna have to remove those sway bar links so the sway bar could move up out of your way. So here you see me trying to mess with the sway bar to give me some clearance to get that rack out. But here, real time of how much of a pain it was, but it's doable, guys, without dropping any of the cradle. It's just all about angles, trying to get the good angle to get it to slide and none of the lines jamming on the transmission or transaxle, whatever you want to call it. But I figured I'd show you real time, that way you guys get to see that It's a bit of a struggle. And that's after, I have the sway bar loose so I could get more room. But the more you do it, the faster it'll get practice, man. And just keeping an eye on what angles and what's hitting. And it'll come out. It just, takes a little bit. This is where I wish I had a bit of background music for you guys, because, yeah, it takes a bit. Yep, it kept catching on that transaxle on the left side. So I was trying to work the angle. And then on the other side, how it has those lines that are built into the rack itself. There you go, see? Boom. Once you get it to give and past the actual gear that hooks up to the collar, it just comes out, and just keep it nice and straight. There's the sway bar. Yep, you'll get it out. And so here's the rack. It was leaking right there internally. Yep, and the boots were damaged and everything. So here, winner. Now to, I guess, bleed the system. What I like to do is fill up the system, and then I do some vacuum just to see if it'll go down, suck in some of the fluid. And as it's doing it without turning on the car, I make sure the levels are without turning on the car. We're gonna turn the steering wheel a few times. And I just like to do the vacuum, make sure all the air is out of the system once you hook everything up. And then here, without the car being on, like running, the engine's not running, just to free the steering wheel. Go both ways a couple of times, and then check out your level. So now we need to add more. So I do it a few times. I put more vacuum and more level. And then once I do it a couple of times like that, then I turn the car on. This way you don't damage the power steering pump when you run it dry. And it's a lot faster. The air goes out. And that's all it takes, guys. Bleeding the system, and the level stays. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Have fun. Laters.